And welcome back to the channel where we talk about only good comics. I'm Brant, and this is Friday First. This is that series where we talk about those brand new number one issues, new character debuts, new story arcs, and the like. And this is for books that are coming out on April 23rd, 2025. And I'm sorry this one is a little bit later in the evening. It's been a week. We were away last weekend for 5 days for a music festival that we were setting up the crochet and comic books at, and it was a decent show. Not as good as some others that we do, but over the course of 5 days and nearly 40 hours of showtime, we did okay. Um, I unfortunately took a fall on Monday morning. I think it was. It was either Monday morning or Sunday night. I can't remember now. I fell backwards out of the shower, landing on my back, which I have three bulging discs in my back, or slip disc, whatever you want to call it. So that was not pleasant. I had a big goose egg on my arm. It's actually healed up a lot faster than I thought it would. You can kind of see the bruising there, but the welt has gone way down. So yeah, it took me a while to get back into the swing of things this week, and that's why this is a little bit later. But I did make it on Friday, thankfully. So, but I had to take a day. We didn't get home until Monday night, so I had to take a day to recuperate Tuesday, and then I've just kind of been playing catch up since then. But anyway, it's a shorter week this week. I did manage to read a few books, so we do have some recaps. We've got a few shout outs, and then we've got a handful of books. So we're gonna just dive right into all of that. And yeah, so thank you all for the comments. Thank you for the support. I appreciate you guys hanging with me through the on location shows and different days and all this stuff. I try to do this as timely as possible and keep it going. And I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate everything. So, anyway, let's get into some comics. And also, I got a comment about the way I was screen sharing it. When I was on the laptop last week on location, I only had one screen. I normally have two screens, so I put the tabs that I share in another browser, and so I'll share a tab from that browser, and that's kind of the way it shows it. But on the laptop, I only had the one screen, so it was the same browser, and I would just click to a different tab, and I guess it displayed it differently. So I'm going to try to do that again this time and see if it works out the same way. So forgive me if I have to play around a little bit and try to get it just right. We'll see how it goes though, and if you prefer one way or the other, let me know. All right, so let's get into some of those recaps to start things off though. First up, we have G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, Spirit, issue one. This is another silent issue, and this one is all about Spirit. He is, I'm assuming he's on on a reservation, or he's just in some kind of um, deserted area, forested area, and he notices an animal scurrying out of the woods, obviously injured. He goes to investigate and finds this giant robot creature, and the evidence that we find along the way suggests that maybe this was an experiment, and they just kind of abandon it, and this robot has been just causing havoc throughout the forest. So the art was really nice in this one, very in character with Spirit and Freedom, and I thought it was a very clear path to follow. They did use some actual writing in this as the evidence that we found throughout the this facility that he stumbles across. But other than that, it was, largely silent, and I felt like you totally got the story they were going for. The art did a beautiful job of storytelling without words to lead us and guide us through this issue. It wasn't my favorite of them. I still think the first one was the strongest one for me, but I still liked it. I still enjoyed it. I think these are really nice, really well done, and just a nice little treat for GI Joe fans. So I'm appreciating them, and I'll be talking about another one here to come soon. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is from Mad Cave. This is Buried Long, Long Ago, and this is illustrated by Alex Cormack, who I'm very familiar with from other books. This book is very in line with the other kind of stories that Alex Cormack illustrates. So it felt right for his art to be in this book, and it just made sense. So, but this is about this ogress who kind of was a bit of a siren. She would lure men. This is like in medieval times. She would lure men into this like opening in this tree, and they would never, escape. Uh, whatever happens to them. And she had this dream of being a queen. So years passed, and these three girls are on a train to see their mom. They've been staying with a relative. Their mom's met somebody, and so the oldest one is telling the story of this ogress to her siblings, and there's no ending to the story. It's blank pages. It's not very happy, and it kind of scares them a little bit. And so, anyway, obviously, this is going to tie into what's going on with their family. There's a big dark secret their mom is keeping, which is very brutal, very dark, and this ogress character just happens to connect to this location some way. We don't know if there's a deeper connection between the family and the ogress or not, but it all comes into play. It's very grim, this story, so if that's not your thing, keep that in mind. But very in tune with the kind of storytelling again that Alex is most likely associated with. And I thought it was a decent story. It's not totally up my alley. It kind of went a different direction than I thought it was, and we got a lot more questions than we did answers in this issue. But it did still leave me intrigued. I'm probably going to try another issue to see if I like where the story is headed. But for fans of this kind of story, I think this is a really good one. So you definitely want to check it out if any of that sounds good to you. All right, so next up we have Web of Venomverse Fresh Brains issue 1. I wasn't sure I was going to get this, but I was too curious, especially just I don't know, it piqued my curiosity, so I got into it and I'm like, okay, it's an anthology. We got different stories, different characters. Don't know how I feel about this, but the interesting thing about this is that there is an opposite to the Web of Life, which is this Venom web, this web heart that connects to all the symbiotes across the multiverse. And they are assembling this team because they've come to the conclusion that spiders and symbiotes cannot coexist and one of them must go. So now both sides are preparing for a war, and they are picking their champions, their team across the multiverse, a team of spiders and a team of venoms. In this book we get the team of venoms, and they are going to war, and one of them is going to try to wipe out the other ones. So that's interesting. At least it's something different. I didn't like the Venom Mouse character, but Katie Power as a Venom symbiote I thought was pretty neat, and a world where Eddie Brock has taken up the mantle of Venom, but as a Spider-Man analog because Spidey's no longer there. I thought was really interesting as well. So some interesting characters in this story, and I find myself curious to see where it goes. I typically write off Spider-Verse and Venomverse books just because it's so overdone and it's usually the same kind of thing over and over again that I just don't get into them. But for whatever reason, I tried this one and I kind of liked it. So I'm going to see where it goes from here. And finally, Wolverine issue number 8, legacy number 400, 400th issue, continuing this adamantine storyline, but we get some other backstories and a clue to the stories leading forward, which was very interesting and very deserving of this legacy anniversary kind of issue, which I'll get into that in a minute. I will be spoiling something in this issue, so if you have not read this yet, keep that in mind. Maybe fast forward until you don't see the graphic for the Wolverine cover here. But first of all, it starts with the adamantine story. He's fighting this avatar. It's a character that he knew from the past. It's over 100 years old. I can't remember the name of the character, but it's somebody he's tangled with before. And this adamantine decides that Wolverine might be a good host, but Wolverine sends it running for now and regroups and follows it later on. So that's the first story. In the second story, Wolverine wakes up, he's disoriented, he doesn't know where he is, what's happened, and Arcade has taken him and Wendigo. That wraps up the Wendigo story. I'm not going to say how that wraps up, but it does wrap up the Wendigo story, so we can move past that now. And I think it was fitting the way that that ended. And it, you know, it was a touching scene between Wendigo and or Wendigo, however you pronounce it, and Wolverine to finish that up as well. So I appreciated that. So the story I'm gonna spoil. I think there was one more. Oh yeah, there was I'll skip the spoiled story for a second. There was the Daniel Warren Johnson story that was very light on dialogue, very heavy on action, which was perfect because it showcased the art style a lot, and it was a story that took place in the past, which I'm gonna assume that it's gonna tie into something in the present later on, but it's in his samurai days, feudal Japan days, and he's kind of taking out a warlord who's killing people left and right, and we get the impression that he's kind of lost at this point. He doesn't know, what his purpose in life is, that kind of thing. So I thought it was very fitting. We got the wild 90s 90s style hairstyle for Wolverine, where it was like really large and just out of this world kind of style. So it was fun. It was the action, the pacing of the panels, the panel work, and everything was just really nice. If you're a fan of Daniel Warren Johnson, definitely recommend that story. Not his best story that I've read, obviously. Do a Powerbomb stands heads and shoulders above the rest for me, but still very, very DWJ. So I appreciate that. But so let's go back to the story that I haven't spoiled yet, but I'm about to. So just another heads up. Which is actually, it's tied into the Wendigo story or Wendigo story. The way it ends, it leads into something else. It's because it's fitting the way that it ties into it. So Wolverine is in his hotel room after all of that, and he gets a letter, but he doesn't smell anyone, doesn't hear anyone, he doesn't see anyone, and which he finds really odd. So he gets this letter, he opens up, he starts reading it, and spoiler alert, this letter is from his supposedly deceased mother, who we have not seen since Origin. And she is alive and looking to reconnect because an old family enemy is out to get them both. So love that. Love that we get that in the 400th issue, that it lays hints for future stories for Wolverine and harkens back to that iconic origin story that we got back in the day. So I really like that aspect of this issue. That made it worth it for me reading it. Even though I had dropped it and wasn't following the Adamantine story, I'm glad I picked this up just for that. And I'll definitely be keeping my eye on that story going forward. All right, so no more spoilers. Sorry about that for those that have not read it yet. Now we're going to get into those few honorable mentions. All right, the first one is Predator versus Spider-Man. I don't typically go for the Predator Alien kind of books. I don't, for whatever reason, I've just never been able to get into those. I've never been a huge fan of the franchises either, so I just never picked these up. But if you are, I definitely wanted to make you aware of this. Benjamin Percy is writing this, who did Wolverine, Ghost Rider, etc. Marcelo Ferreira is the artist on this one. And it says, I'm just going to read a little bit of this. It says, target Spider-Man and Predator's grittiest series yet. In versus Wolverine, we saw it kind of recaps all the other ones versus Wolverine, Black Panther, etc. Now it says Ben Percy turns his twisted brains to Marvel's most beloved property, Spider-Man. There's a heat wave, and we get this new character called Skinner, a predator of no honor and no clan, only a thirst for blood. So if that sounds up your alley, definitely check out Predator versus Spider-Man. Next up, we have Medieval Spawn. You all know I don't read Spawn. My good friend Mike Spiderslayer does. I don't know if he reads Medieval, but this is Medieval Spawn issue 1. It says Medieval Spawn's past has been a mystery to most until now. So this miniseries explores the background of this character, and it's got dragons, wizards, monsters, and all that good stuff. So if you are a Spawn fan, Medieval Spawn fan, you might want to check this one out. This is written by Rory McConneville with art by Marco Itri. And the last honorable mention I have this week is The Witcher, The Bear, and the Butterfly, issue number 1. This is from Dark Horse, and this is written by Simon Spurrier. So if you're a Spurrier fan, definitely check this one out, with art by Stephen Green. And it says Geralt travels to a remote town where a vampire is rumored to be killing the townspeople. The bounty has amassed all manner of monster hunters, and among them is another Witcher from the School of the Bear, a fierce competitor for the reward. So I like The Witcher. I play the video games. I watched some of the Netflix series. But I've tried the comics before, and for whatever reason, I never stick with them. So that's why it's on the honorable mention list instead of the actual book. So, but if you are a big fan of the comics, go check this one out. And that's all the honorable mentions. So we're going to get into those rated books now. All right, first up from Black Box Comics, we have Rysk number 1. I've read a few things from Black Box, and they featured works from some friends of mine, some people that I know, and so they do some really professional looking stuff. I haven't read a whole lot from them, but everything that I have seen has been high quality, both from the writing and the art aspects of the book. So definitely wanted to point this one out. It says, when mankind is rocked by a flesh-ravaging virus, people rebuilt themselves with scavenged tech. Bookie and hustler Ruby Chance got more than expected. Her fix unlocked a radical AI that calls itself Rysk, amping Ruby's senses and skills, an edge she'll most definitely need to survive against road-raging assassins and other threats. So that sounds really interesting. It's a really interesting concept. This is written by a writer named D.G. Chichester, with art by Manix Francisco. I'm not familiar with either one of these, but I like the cover. I like the concept. And so, yeah, I'm going to give this one a possibly good. And if you had not checked out any Black Box titles, I highly recommend it. Like I said, some friends of mine have done books over there. Federico Sabatini did a book over there. Brian Hawkins, I believe, has written a book over there as well. So that's a possibly good for me for Rysk number 1 from Black Box Comics. I said I'd get back to another G.I. Joe book, and here we have a Real American Hero Roadblock issue 1. This is the next in the silent issues, and this one is by Andrew Cronky. I'm not familiar with their work either, but they write and illustrate this one, and it is Roadblock versus a convoy led by a wild weasel. So a lot of action, a lot of machine guns, I'm sure, big guns, and a battle of this one man who can pick up a massive gun against an entire convoy from Cobra. That sounds like a fun time to me. Roadblock is one of my favorite characters. I've got a Funko right there in the background of him, and so yeah, I'm excited for this one. And based on the other ones that I've read, and I say read because they're silent, so the ones I've looked at, I'm going to give this one a promisingly good, just because by and large most of the other ones have been really good, and even the one that I didn't like as much, which was Jinx, I still enjoyed. So promisingly good for G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero Roadblock silent issue. By the way, before I get into this next one, I said I would have to play around with this layout a little bit. I'm not showing it on the video, but before I continue, like, I'm editing this heavily, so I'm having to scroll it up and down a little bit. I had to zoom out of the page, even with them on the same browser. It's not lining up perfectly, and you can see most of the cover, but not the entire cover. For whatever reason, the laptop just had it, perfectly in there. But this is still probably a little bit better than what I was doing. So if this looks good to you, I'll keep doing it this way. Anyways, next up in the list from Dark Horse is Arcana Royale, or Arcana, however you prefer to pronounce that. This is written by Cullen Bunn, who, Six Gun, various horror type comics as well. Seems like his name comes up a lot on this show. Um, and yeah, usually every other week at the very least, Cullen Bunn has a book out. He has such a volume of work at various publishers. This is a 4-issue miniseries. And I'll look at the artist in just a second, but it'll scroll the page if I look at it right now. But this is about a gambler who's siphoned money from every game that they've come into contact in Vegas, and made a big name for themselves, but obviously created a bunch of enemies as well. And participates in these underground tournaments because, they do so well that they got invited. And now this one is called the Arcanos Mysterinos. I'll get it out here one of these days. Anyway, stakes very high, very different, obviously, by the cover and the imagery there, which is, usually associated with the devil. We're probably getting into souls and supernatural elements and that kind of thing at stake in this one. So if that sounds up your alley, you might want to check this one out. The art is by AC Zamudio, colors by Bill Crabtree. I am familiar with that, and letters by Josh Reed. I'm also familiar with Josh Reed. Did a lot of Aspen lettering. Big fan of Josh Reed's lettering, actually, and Bill Crabtree's coloring as well. So superstar team here, and interesting concept. I am going to give Arcana Royale, that's right, a potentially good, because Cullen Bunn, like I said, he does so many kinds of books that are in this vein, the supernatural horror kind of vein, and a lot of them I like, a lot of them I kind of like, some of them I don't like. So it depends on what kind of style of story this is and if it's my cup of tea or not. That's all it comes down to. Fantastic writer, does incredible work, just not everything's for me. So potentially good for Arcana Royale. And last but certainly not least, from Dynamite Entertainment is Captain Planet issue 1. It is finally here, the latest in these older properties that Dynamite has committed to putting out and breathing new life into. We have Captain Planet. He's our hero, going to take pollution down to 0. All right, so it says, I'm just going to read a little bit of it. It says, Earth, Fire, Wind, Water, Heart. With their powers combined, they summon Earth's greatest champion, Captain Planet, but they need to learn to trust each other first. All right, so this is basically that core concept of Captain Planet. The interesting thing about this, though, is it is written by David Pepose, who does Space Ghost and does a stellar job with Space Ghost. It just took Space Ghost to new heights, no pun intended, and I can see him doing the same thing with Captain Planet. This is illustrated by Iman Casalos, and there are various cover artists as well. I'm not familiar with Iman Casalos by name. I've probably seen their work. I can't place it. But we have the Gaia, the high priestess of the earth, kidnapped, that kicks off our story here, and the Planeteers are forced to come together to form the Might of Lucian Plunder, and or against the newly formed Might of Lucian Plunder. I'll say that right one of these times. They're not going to form Lucian Plunder. They're fighting Lucian Plunder. I know what Captain Planet is. I know that's the villain. Sorry, I apologize. That's all the information we know. So obviously, not a whole lot to go on there. But if you know Captain Planet at all, it came about in a time where care for the environment was starting to be a really notable cause that people were championing a lot. Obviously, that's a commonplace thing and just good practice overall these days. But at that time, it was like, G.I. Joe came out with their Eco Warriors, and there were different kind of toy lines and different shows and everything that were kind of centered around that at that time. And this was obviously the most notable of them. But I have a feeling, especially with David Pepose writing, that this is going to go a little bit deeper than just that core concept, and we're going to get a little bit grittier, a little bit more serious. tone to this, but I don't know. I could be completely wrong, and it could just be a complete homage to the cartoon. I don't think that's the way that Pepos would approach this personally, but I'm really excited to see how he will approach this title from Dynamite. So I am going to give this one a promisingly good just based on Space Ghost alone. And I'm excited for this. I'm definitely going to try out this first issue and see what his vision for Captain Planet is. So that's promisingly good from me. And believe it or not, that's all the books we have this week. There's not a whole lot of books in general, and definitely not a whole lot of firsts out this week. But there are some other books that are coming out that I am excited about. So we're going to talk about those right now. First up, we have Bug Wars issue number 3. Really enjoyed the first 2 issues of this story from Image Comics. So I'm really excited to dive into this backyard world of little bug people once again. And I'm curious to see how our main character's brother comes into play with this story as well. Batman 159 continuing the sequel to Hush in this issue, so I'm excited about that one as well. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 2. I actually really liked the first issue. It surprised me. I really enjoyed the balancing of the flashbacks and the present day stuff, and we got supporting cast, we got Peter looking for a job, all that stuff. It was just fun time. Green Lantern number 20. Green Lantern is just always good. We've got Hector Hammond back in the fray here. We've got Kyle Rayner, Superboy, and Odyssey coming in contact with the Reach. So a lot of stuff going on over there. G.I. Joe number 6. We have Duke versus Cobra Commander. That's all you got to say. I'm there. I'm into it. Excited for that one as well. One World Under Doom number 3. The Avengers have faced Doom before, obviously, but now heroes and villains are uniting together to take on Doom, and we're going to see how that plays out. The Avengers issue number 25. This Legacy number 791, but this is a One World Under Doom tie-in, and they are fighting the all new, all different Masters of Evil in this one. So excited about that as well. And then Superman number 25, which is Legacy number 868. But this might be a key issue. It says it's a milestone issue, but Lex Luthor is back, and we have Superman versus Lex Luthor in this issue. Lex Luthor has gotten all his memories back, and now we have Superman facing off with him in an oversized issue that celebrates the last 2 years and sets up a brand new storyline going forward. This is a 48-page book for $5.99 with a wraparound cover, so keep that in mind as well. But that's all the books that we've got to talk about this week. Already done. Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It makes me feel good. And leave a comment, because I love reading your comments. I love interacting with you, and I appreciate the feedback, as always. Of course, you can hit that subscribe notification bell so you don't miss any of the episodes. And you can follow me across social media at Only Good Comics when I start updating that again. Or you can type in onlygoodcomics.com to take you right back to this YouTube channel where we talk about only good comics. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care. Keep reading those comics, and I'll see you soon.